The courtroom was filled with tension. It was a big case, and everyone was watching. In the center of it all was Goldie Hawn. Yes, the famous actress everyone knew from her movies, but today she wasn't here to sign autographs. She was in the courtroom fighting for something that mattered more than fame. Across from her sat the lawyer. He was ruthless, cold, a professional who didn't care about feelings. All he cared about was winning. He looked at Goldie with a smirk, ready to attack. Goldie sat there quietly. Some people might have been nervous in her shoes, but not her. She had been through a lot in life. And this was just another challenge. The case was serious, but what was happening in the courtroom felt like a game to the lawyer. He didn't see a person in front of him. He saw a target, and he wasn't going to hold back. He was going to make sure everyone knew he was the best. But what happened next? No one saw it coming. Not the lawyer. Not the judge. Not even the people in the gallery. Something was about to change. Goldie wasn't just going to sit back and take it, and what she revealed would change everything. The lawyer was a master of his craft. He knew how to play the room, how to make his opponents feel small, and today his target was Goldie Hawn. He started slow, easing into his attack. At first, it was subtle, little comments here and there, poking fun at her acting career. "Oh, so you're a movie star," he said, with a sarcastic grin. "Must be tough, playing pretend for a living." The courtroom chuckled. Goldie didn't flinch, she just sat there, calm and collected. But the lawyer didn't stop. He grew bolder, more aggressive. He started using her fame against her, twisting her image into something less than human. "Do you even know what it's like to struggle?" he said, his voice dripping with mockery. "You've spent your whole life living in a bubble. What do you know about real problems?" Goldie's face remained stoic. Her eyes never left him, but everyone could tell she was just waiting for the right moment. She wasn't going to let him get under her skin. The lawyer's tone grew sharper, like a predator circling its prey. "You're just a joke," he continued, enjoying the laughter of the room. "A celebrity who thinks she's above everyone else." Goldie didn't react. Not yet, but the tension in the room was rising. The more the lawyer spoke, the more the crowd seemed to laugh along. He was winning them over, taking control of the courtroom. But Goldie wasn't about to let that happen. Not without a fight. Goldie had been quiet, letting the lawyer do his thing, but now, the atmosphere in the courtroom was different. The laughter had died down. The tension was thick. It was clear that the lawyer thought he had won. He was smiling, confident. But then Goldie spoke. She wasn't loud, she didn't raise her voice or shout. She just calmly turned to the judge and said, "Your Honor, may I speak?" The room went silent. Even the lawyer stopped for a moment, unsure of what was about to happen. Goldie wasn't done being mocked, but she was about to take control in a way no one expected. She leaned forward, looked directly at the lawyer and said, "You think I don't know struggle. You think my life has been easy because I'm famous." Her voice was steady, but there was something different about it now. She wasn't just a celebrity. She wasn't just a target, she was a person. The lawyer stood there, unsure of how to respond. He'd expected Goldie to break under his words, but instead, she was standing tall. Goldie continued. "Let me tell you something. I didn't get here by pretending. I didn't get here because of luck, or because I was handed a role in a movie. I got here because I've fought through things you couldn't imagine." The courtroom was still. No one spoke. The words hung in the air. Goldie wasn't the same person the lawyer had mocked. She was stronger. She paused for a moment, then looked at the lawyer, her eyes fierce. "You don't know anything about me, or what I've had to go through." Her revelation wasn't just about her career. It wasn't just about the movies, or the fame. It was about the struggles she'd faced in her personal life. The things no one knew. The things she had kept hidden. And as she spoke, you could feel the shift in the room. What had been a courtroom of laughter and mockery, had suddenly turned into a space of respect. The lawyer who thought he had the upper hand, now stood speechless. The lawyer's confident smirk faded quickly. He wasn't used to being thrown off, he was the one in control. But now Goldie's words had shifted the room's energy, and he didn't know how to handle it. He stood there for a moment, frozen. His mouth opened then closed, like he was searching for the right words, but nothing came out. The courtroom, once filled with laughter at Goldie's expense, was now filled with a heavy silence. The judge shifted in his seat, looking at the lawyer with a raised brow. Even the jury, who had been indifferent before, now seemed to pay closer attention. The lawyer cleared his throat, trying to regain his composure. "Well, that's all very touching, Miss Hawn," he said, his voice less certain now. "But this is a court of law, not a therapy session." His words came out harsher than intended, as if he was trying to convince himself more than anyone else. But it was clear. The damage had been done. The mocking tone he had used was gone. He couldn't go back to that same confident lawyer he had been a moment ago. He wasn't controlling the room anymore. Goldie didn't say anything more. She sat back in her chair, calm and composed, but her eyes told a different story. She had said what she needed to say, and now it was the lawyer's turn to figure out how to handle it. The lawyer looked down at his notes, trying to find a way to shift the focus back to the case. But his usual sharp, cutting remarks now felt empty. The room wasn't laughing anymore. No one was on his side. For the first time in the entire trial, the lawyer seemed small, and that was something no one had expected. Not the judge, not the jury, and certainly not Goldie. The atmosphere in the courtroom had changed completely. The lawyer who had walked in with all the confidence in the world, was now on the back foot. He had lost control, and everyone could feel it. Goldie Hawn sat quietly, a calm presence in the middle of the storm. Her earlier words had shattered the lawyer's plan. What had started as an attack on her fame, now looked like an attack on her character, and she wasn't going to let it slide. The lawyer shifted uneasily. He flipped through his notes, trying to find something to say, something to regain his position. But every word felt forced now. The courtroom was no longer laughing, and his sharp remarks seemed out of place. The respect he had once commanded had slipped away. Goldie's reveal had done more than show her strength. It had turned the tables. The power dynamics that had been in favor of the lawyer were now in her hands. The room's energy had shifted from mockery to a quiet respect for the woman who had opened up about her true struggles. The judge, who had been quiet up until this point, looked at the lawyer with a pointed expression. He didn't need to say anything. His look said it all. He knew that Goldie had just exposed the lawyer's weakness. He knew that this wasn't just a legal battle anymore, it was personal. The jury, who had once been caught up in the lawyer's clever jabs, now seemed to focus on Goldie. They were no longer swayed by his mockery. The respect for her had grown, and they could see the lawyer for what he was, a man who relied on arrogance rather than facts. Goldie didn't have to say another word. She had made her point. The power she had regained wasn't about being loud or angry. It was about being authentic. The lawyer's ruthless tactics had backfired, and now it was clear who was in control. Her calmness, her strength, and her ability to stay composed in the face of attack had turned the tide in her favor. The courtroom had seen a new side of Goldie, and it made them rethink everything. The lawyer's words no longer had any weight. What mattered now was Goldie's truth, and it was stronger than anything he had to say. For the first time in the trial, the lawyer's usual swagger was gone. His words didn't carry the same weight. And as Goldie sat back, her eyes steady, she knew the game had changed. The courtroom was quieter now, the shift in power clear to everyone present. The lawyer's earlier confidence was gone, replaced by a sense of uncertainty that hung in the air. He tried to speak, to regain his footing, but his words were slow and lacked the sharpness they once had. He fumbled through his notes, unsure of what to do next. Goldie, on the other hand, remained calm. She wasn't smug or gloating. She didn't need to be. Her silence said everything. Her strength, her truth had done the work. The lawyer had underestimated her, and now the momentum had completely shifted. The judge, who had been an observer until now, leaned forward. He cleared his throat and glanced at the lawyer. It wasn't a look of anger, but of something else, perhaps disappointment. The judge was well aware of what had just happened. The lawyer had played his hand, but Goldie had turned the game around with just a few words. The jury, once indifferent to Goldie, now watched her with renewed respect. They could see beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. What they saw now was a woman who had faced real struggles, who had shown vulnerability and strength in equal measure. The lawyer's attack had only revealed his own weakness. As the lawyer awkwardly tried to continue, Goldie's calm presence overshadowed him. The room was no longer on his side. It was clear the case wasn't going to go the way he had hoped. For Goldie, it wasn't about winning the courtroom battle, it was about showing who she really was. And in that moment, she had won in a way that no one had expected. The lawyer's ruthless approach had fallen flat, and his sharp words had lost their sting. There was a shift in the energy of the room. The tension that had once been in Goldie's corner was now in the lawyer's. The judge's expression had changed, and even the gallery seemed to respect what Goldie had done. They had witnessed something powerful, not just a legal case, but a moment of real human strength. The lawyer finally gave up his attempt to continue. He knew he had lost. The damage was done. Goldie Hawn had taken control of the courtroom with nothing more than her words, and there was no coming back from that. The judge looked at the lawyer one last time, then turned to Goldie. "We'll proceed tomorrow," he said, but everyone knew the game had already been decided. Goldie had revealed her truth, and nothing could undo that.